833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. A red flag warning begins at 1 p.m. this afternoon and remains in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. Bright sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 91. Winds out of the south, 15 to 20 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows level off around 61. Tomorrow, high of 90. Mainly sunny skies and dry. Saturday and Sunday, mid-80s. Saturday, upper 80s by Sunday. Take a look at the extended forecast. 88 Monday, 90 Tuesday, and 87 on Wednesday. Once again, high of 91 today, low of 61 tonight, a high of 90 tomorrow. Get up-to-the-minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 62 degrees.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15's. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Get ready for the most electrifying football action of the season right here on Rocket 1025. Cheer on your Denver Broncos with every thrilling play, every game-winning drive, and every heart-pounding moment. Don't miss a second of action. Tune in all season long to Rocket 1025. Broncos football, powered by FMB Bank, Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Colby Ag Center, Tubbs & Son Sports Sales, Hoxie Feed Yard Imperial Beef, Next Tech Wireless, Burlington Ford, Zimmelman's Jewelry, and Vince's GM.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off a new trade-in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59,000. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
At Next Tech Wireless, you are in the driver's seat. With all the latest devices, the choice is yours. You pick between 18, 24, or 36-month terms and get your device on us. Next Tech Wireless, home on the range.
Mo and Matt and Michaela Kaus at M&M Supply continues with deals on Hustler mowers. A good supply with discounts on some closeouts right now. Different models, different sizes, financing available. They'll take your trade-ins. You know, they work on all types of different riding mowers, but they do carry Hustler mowers, Hustler parts. Hustlers made right here in Kansas, USA. They carry cordless DeWalt tools like DeWalt lodge edgers, chainsaws, trimmers, 20 or 60 watt. Yeah, they'll keep on growing, so you keep on mowing at M&M Supply, rural Edson, Kansas.
Whether you're buying your first house or your retirement dream home, we know the importance of getting a mortgage you can live with. At F&B Bank, our goal is to make your financing search quick and enjoyable, from the terms to the personal attention along the way. Give me, Brett Lampy, a call at 785-890-5616 to apply today. F&B Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
As a customer-owned cooperative, Midwest Energy members elect their board of directors. Ballots for this year's director election are in the mail and must be completed and returned by October 4th. Election results will be announced at our annual meeting on Monday, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Hayes. We'll give away great door prizes, and all Midwest members are invited to attend. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
You ready?
Ass. The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown. Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. And Massey breaks through. Deep right field and gone off the facing of the upper deck. And that's Michael Massey's fourth career home run here.
The 2-1. Ground ball, diving stop by Witt. The throw home is wide. Birdie scores. The Yankees win. A walk-off for Chisholm. And the Yankees win 4-3-11.
He has flied twice to center, drives this one to right center field. It won't be caught. It's going to go to the edge of the warning track. It's going to score two. A two-run double from Mr. Doubles.
Home run. Swing to high drive. Way up there. Way back. Way gone. The Red Sox walk it off at Fenway. T.O. with an absolute moonshot. Number 30. And the Sox take the series against Baltimore.
Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz. As always, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 as well as Goodland 730 Gold KLOE. Glad to be with us here on this September the 12th. A little blustery out there to get your day started with 61-degree temps on our way to a high of 88 degrees. Hope you're having a good start to the day here. We got a full show ahead. Michael Bruntz of Huskers 24/7 Sports is going to stop by the program. We'll talk about Nebraska being 2-0 and ranked for the first time since 2016. Lots to get to with Michael Bruntz coming up here in today's program. There's some news on conference realignment rumbling around this morning. We will get to more of that, and it does have an impact on a regional school, to say the least. I would call it a regional school. So we will discuss that coming up in the back end of the show. And we have the NFL Power 5 as week 2 of the NFL season gets underway tonight with Thursday Night Football, the Bills taking on the Dolphins. So I'll get you my top 5 games I've got my eye on here in what is the second week of the season. But as always, if you'd like to be part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on the FNB Bank text line, the number 785-899-2222. You can also comment through the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. If you're on YouTube, you can comment there. We usually see that stuff pop up through our stream. So once again, multiple ways to get a part and be a part of the show here any day, and of course here on this Thursday. Before we get to the NFL Power 5 real quickly, though, quick shout out to Colby Community College volleyball. Another dominant win last night as the 7th ranked Lady Trojans defeated Pratt Community College in straight sets, 25-20, 25-13, and 25-11. The final scores in those 3 sets. They're now 10-1 on the season overall, and sitting at 3-0 to begin Jayhawk League play. They've got a Colby Quad is what it is called coming up here this weekend. They will have 4 teams coming to Colby to play 3 matches against each other. And Colby, I think, gets Otero on Friday. And then I forget the other 2 teams that are going to be there. I think one of them's Iowa Western, I believe. But yeah, the Colby Quad coming up here on Friday at the event centers where you can catch up on the 7th-ranked Lady Trojans as they step outside of conference play for a little bit of competition here this weekend. Speaking of high school volleyball, there is a little bit of that tonight on a Thursday. You've got Hoxie taking on Hill City and Scott City in a triangular. St. Francis is heading up north of the border to Nebraska. Juanita Palisade is where they'll be for a triangular. Rollins County will also be there as well. So 2 Kansas schools and 1 Nebraska school at WAPA, as we called it growing up. Shiloh and Idalia, Colorado meeting on the gridiron tonight. That's right, a little Thursday night high school football as the Cougars take on Idalia this evening. Also, a little cross country today with Colby and Golden Plains, a couple of the teams attending Quinter's Cross Country Invitational. And they're back on the links again are the area golfers, Colby, Goodland, Rollins County, Oakley, all heading south to Cimarron for their golf invitational. We'll see if the Cowgirl golf team can make it 3 consecutive tournaments, 1 to open up here the 2024 season. So, yeah, there you go. A quick update on local sports here this morning. All right, let's get into it. We got about 15 minutes before we got to get to Michael Brunt. So let's do it. So let's get into the NFL Power 5. Once again, the NFL Power 5, that is the top 5 games I have my eye on this weekend with week number 2 of the NFL season. And let's just get it going.
Number 5.
So starting out, my first game I'm intrigued about, and this game probably a little bit wouldn't be on most people's radar, but I think there's a story inside the game, and that's what it's about. Not only do you want a good game, but you like the good stories that come with such games. And this game here that intrigues me is going to be on CBS on Sunday morning. It is the Vikings hosting the 49ers. Now, most people are going to say, well, geez, the 49ers are going to beat the socks off the Vikings, and possibly so. They're a 6-point favorite as we sit here right now. But this game intrigues me for the fact that it's the storyline of Sam Darnold. Remember Sam Darnold? He was drafted by the Jets, had no success, went to San Francisco, really never played. I want to see if what he did in week 1, where he was very impressive, 19 of 24 for just over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Can he do that again against a very, very good San Francisco defense? And the Vikings have a lot of pieces. They just don't really have a great quarterback because of the injury to J.J. McCarthy. But can they get it done? I don't know. And San Francisco, from their perspective, they looked really good in week 1. Really good. Can they back that up with a week 2 performance of taking down Minnesota on the road in a tough place to play? I don't know. I think that's very intriguing to me.
Number 4.
Moving on here, number 4, I've got the matchup tonight. Bills at the Dolphins for Thursday Night Football on Prime. Right now, the line sitting at 2.5 in favor of Miami. That's pretty much even, meaning if they played on a neutral site field. There's been a lot of talk away from the field, of course, with Tyreek Hill's incident off the field where he is treated unfairly by Miami-Dade police, getting pulled over and ripped out of his car. It's a terrible situation, and there's been a lot of chit-chat about that. Miami's probably going to play pretty inspired. That would be my guess. Miami's going to play pretty darn inspired here on Thursday night, and that will be a tough thing for the Bills to overcome. But even though the Bills did not look great in week 1 and to kind of come back to beat an Arizona team that was, I guess I don't know. We don't know what Arizona is this year. They could be great. They could be sad. I don't know what to expect from Arizona here in this 2024 season. Bills, though, were able to come back. Josh Allen is just a beast. Absolute beast. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He ran for more. They're going to rely on him so much. I'm concerned for his health and safety, to be completely honest with you, through the longevity of this season. But the Bills, that window that they had, to make a deep postseason run, it's kind of gone by to an extent. Can Josh Allen carry this team through this season? And it's another great test against a very talented and loaded, especially offensively, Miami Dolphin team. And don't forget, Miami got down big to Jacksonville before the Jags just completely pooped the bed. And here came back Miami to win that game. So I don't know. I think this game is it's a toss-up, and ESPN's matchup predictor says it's about a 50-50 shot on who wins this game. So I think this game will be entertaining tonight. Two good quarterbacks leading their offenses. Which team's defense can get some stops? I like this game. The Bills and the Dolphins is my number 4 on the NFL Power 5.
Number 3.
Looking ahead to number 3, I wouldn't have picked this game earlier when the season began, but how both teams played in week number 1, I want to know which one is for real. The Saints at the Cowboys on Fox on Sunday at noon, in that noon time slot. Right now, Dallas a touchdown favorite at home, as they probably should be. This game to me is more about the Saints. I think Dallas will look good. Dak Prescott will be fine. They've got great playmakers all around. Their defense looked unbelievable. Coach Zimmer, Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, replacing not Dan Campbell. I was trying to think of the guy over there at now the head coach for the Commanders. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but nonetheless, Mike Zimmer is the defensive coordinator. They looked great against the Browns. Now, the Browns had a very incompetent quarterback last week, and we've talked about a lot of teams having bad quarterback play last week, but Deshaun Watson might have taken the cake as one of the worst, considering what he gets paid and how good he should be. But Derek Carr looked very good. I don't think many people expected much from him. He goes 19-23 for 200 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Not to mention, Alvin Kamara almost gets to the century mark with the touchdown himself. This Saints team, once again, I always said before, the NFC South is like my least favorite league. I don't really follow it that much, so nothing really intrigues me about that league. But this game intrigues me because I think the Saints showed something. Can they back it up for a second week in a row against a team that really looked good as well? These are two of the teams that actually looked like competent NFL teams, and they're facing off against one another here in week number 2. So which team is for real? Which team is a fluke? That is what I'm intrigued to see coming up here on Sunday. So Saints and Cowboys is number 3 on my NFL Power 5 for week 2.
Number 2.
The second game I'm interested in, once again, this could be a blowout. It totally could be. But I am intrigued by a team that I think is up and coming and a team that is already there. You know, we visited with Nick Athen on Monday of Chiefs Blitz, talking about how the Houston Texans scare the living daylights out of him because of how good a team they are and look. CJ Stroud looked great last year with some no-name receivers like Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Well, in the offseason, what did Houston do? They went out and fortified their offense. They bring in Stephon Diggs from Buffalo. They go get Joe Mixon from Cincinnati, and those guys have humongous games. Stroud throws for 234 and 2 touchdowns. Mixon runs for almost $160 and a tutty. And then Nico Collins had 117 yards receiving. Stephon Diggs had a touchdown reception. This Houston team is scary. I would agree with that. But they're taking on the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. And I don't know why, but the Bears are just going to continue to intrigue me. I know offensively they looked awful. Caleb Williams, 93 yards passing in his debut. Awful. They didn't do really anything offensively. Their defense won them that game, and special teams, I should say. Block punt, scoop and score from there. A pick 6 on a horrific play by Will Levis, just trying to shovel it out of bounds. I don't know, or maybe it was to somebody, and it was the easiest pick 6 anybody will ever get in their life. But the Bears have won Super Bowls before like this back in the 80s. Not saying this team is as good as that Super Bowl defense, but they've won games like that before. So I want to know, can the Bears defense keep what their special teams unit look as good as they did? Can they do it again? And can Caleb Williams get on track? They have weapons. He's a good quarterback. Can he find his footing and get this done? It's a 6-point Houston favorite at this point in time. Houston is at home. Like I said, I don't know. This game intrigues me because of quarterback play and the teams I think that they could be. I think the Bears could be a playoff team if they get it all together. And I think that the Houston Texans are a playoff team that could be a Super Bowl team. I think there's a chance for that. We'll find out here on Sunday Night Football. All right.
Number 1.
Top game this week, in my opinion, has to do with the Kansas City Chiefs. Anytime you get the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals together, It's appointment viewing television because of what has happened in the past. Now, I understand that the Bengals had a horrific showing in week number 1. They looked absolutely terrible in their week 1 loss to New England, 16-10. New England said, we're just going to run the football right down your throat. We'll see if you can stop it. And if not, we're just going to run the clock all the way down. And that's what we're going to do. And they did that. The Bengals did not have an answer defensively. When you get popped in the mouth like that, it wakes you up. You got to say, we got to get better. And improvement from week 1 to week 2, I think we're going to see that from Cincinnati. They're going to be better. Now, the Chiefs, on the other hand, looked very, very good. And, of course, they're going to improve as well. And they're the ones playing at home. But once again, there's something about Joe Burrow playing Patrick Mahomes. That is, at least to this point in time, his kryptonite. Mahomes' kryptonite has been Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Now, I believe that Joe Burrow is playing with less pieces than he's used to. Remember, once again, all these great teams over the last handful of years, 3-4 years, the Bengals and the Bills and these great teams that we've watched last few years that have had good seasons for the most part, they've had them because they had young quarterbacks who played very, very well, and they were able to spend their money, the rest of their salary cap with that cheap quarterback on lots of great players. They were able to do that. Once again, like Joe Mixon was in Cincinnati. He was very, very good. They had some other pieces. You can go to Buffalo had Stephon Diggs. It's hard to afford him anymore. Now that you get to this point where you have to pay your quarterbacks and make the amount of money that they're making, then that once again, of course, takes away from the pot, and you can't pay your star player or your other complementary pieces as well. That's the thing. And so I look at it from the perspective of, if you are Cincinnati, you have Joe Burrow, and you're hoping that Jamar Chase, who looked extremely rusty because he did not do anything during the preseason except hope and pray he got a new contract extension, which he didn't. Which he didn't yet. I should say, did he get that? I think he might have gotten that, but he didn't get it through most of the preseason, so he's rusty. He hasn't gotten really any work whatsoever done, so that looks rough. But if those two get back on the same page, that will really test that secondary for Kansas City. And of course, we know in Cincinnati's defense, which looked bad, they're going to have to play better if they're going to have a chance in this game. But once again, it's one of the great quarterback matchups. That's what it's not saying it's on the same level. It's like Brady and Manning is this Burrow Mahomes matchup. To me, it's like that. I'm not saying it's on the same level currently, but it could be over time. I think that's what's interesting to see. And going on to that conversation about quarterbacks getting paid their money, the 49ers, who are going to have a great season this year, would think, they got to be thinking that this is our year. If we're going to do it, it's got to be this year. Why do we say that? Because Brock Purdy's still on his rookie deal. He's going to need to get paid after this year. And that means that you're going to lose some money to pay other guys, like whether it be Deebo Samuel or, even though they got Brandon Ayuk paid, but they're going to lose some pieces, you would think, barring some guys say, you know what, I will take a little bit less than what I'm probably worth to stay here on a winner. That's what you're hoping to see. That's what you're hoping to see if you're a franchise, but rarely does that happen because guys want to get theirs. Bengals only had 224 yards of offense in week 1 versus the Patriots. I got to think they're going to get better. Maybe it's not this week, and maybe this game is a blowout. But once again, anytime you put Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes on the same football field, I am going to watch. And so that is a Sunday afternoon kickoff. Of course, which you can listen to on your home for the Kansas City Chiefs, 100.3 The Ride. All right. Let's get to it. There you go. The NFL Power 5. Once again, recapping those games for you. I've got Vikings hosting the Niners, Bills going to the Dolphins, which is Thursday night tonight. Saints at Cowboys, Bears at Texans at number 2, and then Bengals at Chiefs number 1. My NFL Power 5 for this September, the weekend. The week that starts here, September the 12th. So there you go. The NFL Power 5, week number 2. Okay, let's get to a break. When we come back, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7 Sports, going to stop by. We're going to talk about Nebraska football being 2-0 for the first time since 2016. Stick around. Great stuff coming from him. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Thursday.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase.
With the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saludo with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on September the 12th. East corn was up 3 1/4 at 408. March corn up 3 1/4 at 426.5. And May corn up 2 1/2 at 437.5. November soybeans were up 6 at 1006.5. Jan soybeans up 5 1/2 at 1024.5. And March soybeans up 5 3/4 at 1039 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was up 8 at 596 1/4. March up 7 1/2 at 609, and May up 7 1/2 at 615.5. Dow Jones is currently up 30 points at 40,935. S&P is up 3 points at 5,564. NASDAQ is slightly down 9 points at 19,262. Gold is up 17 points at 25.59. Silver slightly up at 29 and change, and crude oil is slightly up at 68.10 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado area and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
If you spray your wheat this fall, it will pay off in spring.
Who said that?
If you spray your wheat for grass weed control early, it will.
Nah, I'll wait.
Forget it. Look, you only have one shot to get it right, and you only need one herbicide, okay?
Okay. Which herbicide?
Zidua SC herbicide. It's a superior residual herbicide with long-lasting control of the toughest grasses, including Italian rye and cheatgrass.
Zidua SC herbicide?
That's right. Ask your retailer about it today, and always read and follow label directions.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise. At Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Fall is here, and it's the perfect time to fall in love with your smile. At Cornerstone Orthodontics, we're excited to help you achieve the smile you've always wanted. Whether you're looking for traditional braces or clear aligners, our team is here to provide personalized care with a smile. Schedule your complimentary consultation now and let us help you step into autumn with confidence and a radiant smile. Visit cornerstoneorthodontics.com with offices in Hayes, Colby, and Great Bend.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz.
Great call. Love where your head's at.
With Ross Volkmer.
We will get to some news in the Pac-12, or the Pac-2, as I guess it's known. It's still the Pac-12 officially, but everyone else calls it the Pac-2. There is some pretty significant news coming out of the Pac-12 here this morning. But also remind folks that with Flatlander Fall Festival coming up here in a couple of weeks, you want to make sure that you find a way to go to flatlandersfallfestival.org or follow the SCCD community Facebook page for more information on the great weekend happening in Goodland, September 27th through the 29th. All right. Well, let's welcome into the show our good friend from Huskers 24/7 Sports. That would be our good friend, Michael Bruntz. Michael, good morning. Thank you for spending time with us. I got to start off with a simple question. What were you doing in 2016?
2016, I was watching Nebraska start 2-0. That's what I was doing. Beyond that, I can't really be certain.
Yeah. Was that before kids, or did you have a kid at that point in time?
No, that was pre-kids, so I was living the high life.
Yeah, had a lot more free time, didn't you?
I was well rested, more free time. I had hobbies. Yeah, it was a different time, much different time.
How much better was your writing back in 2016?
Well, it was done at appropriate hours. I know that. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest difference, I think, was not having to do it at like midnight now. So that's how it goes.
For those who don't follow our little riff here, but that was the last time Nebraska started the year off 2-0, and that is where Nebraska football sits here heading into this Week 3 game against Northern Iowa. But Michael, if you had thought about the first part of this season, has it gone kind of like you maybe thought it might have in your head, or are there some ways that it's different?
Yeah, we were kind of going through on our podcast before the season and doing the standard, game by game. This is how we kind of see it going. And I'd expected Nebraska to beat Colorado. I hadn't expected them to do it in as dominating fashion as they did. I think coming off of last season, you kind of had the thought that with as many veterans back as they have on defense, that there was at least potential for Nebraska to take another step forward as a defense, and they've kind of exceeded my expectations in that way. Offensively, it's kind of what I had maybe hoped they would be able to do. I mean, they've only turned the ball over once. They're +3 turnover margin. That was always kind of like, if things kind of break right for them. I mean, I think, you with a freshman quarterback too, there's always some question there. But I think offensively, they've done enough to play complementary football with that really good defense. So kind of to what I've expected now. But, I mean, I think that defense is going to play on another level from maybe what I could have even imagined.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think the defense is even better than it was last year? And last year it was a top 15 defense.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they have the potential to be better. I mean, it's interesting, the first two opponents they've faced, I mean, they've been very much like spread, going to throw the ball all over the place, no real threat of a running game. So Nebraska's really been able to pin their ears back. I think the big difference for them is if you go back to that Colorado game, I mean, Nebraska was getting home with consistency and pressure with just a 4-man rush. And that was a huge emphasis from this coaching staff in the offseason. And you kind of saw that play out against Colorado. I mean, they were just swarming to the ball and keeping Shedeur Sanders in the pocket. So I think that's been a step forward. I'll be eager to see if they can kind of stay on the turnover track that they're on. I mean, I think they had pretty ambitious goals of improving in that area. And so far they've done that. We'll see if that continues. I mean, I think, kind of going over the next few games in the future here, it's going to be a bit of a different challenge, right? A little less spread, a little bit more, teams wanting to run the ball at Nebraska. So we'll kind of see if they're able to handle that kind of a game as well. I think they will be.
We're visiting with Michael Bruntz from Huskers 24/7 Sports on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline here on the Morning Blitz. In order for this defense to be better, you needed to have players step up their game. Who individually has stepped up their game, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the line with that defensive line. I mean, Ty Robinson's playing at a level that we haven't seen from him during his career. You've got guys like, Kai Wallen and James Williams, who were, just rotational guys at best last year that look completely different. The one kind of concern that I do have was inside linebacker depth. That's one area where I was like, okay, you lost some veteran guys there. Guys are going to have to take on bigger roles. But Mekhi Bayer and John Bullock have played really well through 2 games. I mean, they've been everything that I think Nebraska's coaching staff kind of hoped they would be. in the middle of that defense. And, I think, you hear constantly from Matt Rule and his staff that they're a developmental program. They're going to develop guys. And I think, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you're seeing that leap from year one to year two. I mean, I don't know that there's too many guys, certainly in that starting 11, that you would say are, kind of where they were last year. I mean, it feels like everybody really has kind of taken a step forward in the offseason, which, around Nebraska, that's always kind of been a little bit of a tough thing, because it's felt like in the past, guys, even if they were really talented players, kind of plateaued a little bit once they got here. So that's been a nice change that we've seen in year two.
I know offensively, a lot of people want to talk about Dylan Raiola, and we'll get to that. But I think one of the biggest stars the early part of the season has been Dante Dowdell, the running back. He really has taken that position by the horns, and he just looks different from the previous running backs we've seen over the last handful of years for Nebraska.
Yeah, well, and he even looks different from the Dante Dowdell we saw in the spring. You go back to the red-white game. I mean, he was making guys miss, but he didn't kind of have that extra gear or that extra level of violence that he was running with. And, so far, he kind of went from, at the start of fall camp, being a guy that you would probably put tied for third or maybe fourth in the running back pecking order, to being more of the featured back. And part of that is, running style. I think part of that is he's dropped a little bit of weight and just looks a little bit quicker than maybe what he was when he came to Nebraska. And, I think when you kind of go back and listen to what Matt Rule has said with the kind of back that they really kind of covet, it's Dante Dowdell. I mean, they want that big, bruising, 220-pound, kind of typical Big Ten type running back that can go in and just punish teams and finish games. And I think that's kind of what they see in Dowdell. And he's been a bit of a revelation. I mean, I would not have expected him to be, kind of at the top of the pecking order along with Amir Johnson. If we would have talked during fall camp, I don't think he was there, but that's been a really nice development for this offense, because I think he's kind of that mix of all the different backs that they have in that room. And, he had the fumble in the opener, but I think he bounced back pretty well. He was really running hard on those first couple drives against Colorado the other night.
We're visiting Michael Bruntz on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline from Huskers 24/7 Sports. Has Dylan Raiola met expectations or exceeded expectations through two games?
I think he's met them. I mean, I think coming in, I think a lot was expected of him because of he's a mature kid, and the way that he prepares, you kind of felt like he would have a chance to kind of, not look like a true freshman at times. And you look at the completion percentage, which is up over 70%. You look at the fact that he hasn't turned the ball over. I mean, that's the more impressive and useful thing to me, I think, as far as Nebraska is concerned, because this is a championship style defense that they've got, I think. And if they can just avoid the turnovers, hit a couple deep balls, and just kind of keep things moving, I think that's a pretty good recipe for the offense. The one thing we haven't kind of seen yet, which is there, I think, are kind of the big throws downfield. I mean, he had the big one to Jalen Lloyd the other night against Colorado, but when you kind of have a running game that it seems like is turning the corner, you need to have that ability to go over the top and really make teams pay for cheating up towards the line of scrimmage. So I think Nebraska has the personnel to do that. I think Dylan can do that. I know he's got the arm to do it, but I'm eager to see if that's kind of the next step in his development as a quarterback this year is how do you make more of those throws that are the big splash plays when you need them. I mean, they haven't needed them yet, but I'm eager to see if that's kind of in the bag as well.
Do you feel like they have used him correctly through the first two games, like not put too much on him at this point in time?
Yeah. I mean, I think what they're asking him to do is to just be efficient. And, for some freshman quarterbacks, that's a tough thing to do. But, I think at times when he's faced pressure, he's thrown with poise. I think that his skill set has opened up the kind of short, quick passing game that Nebraska so desperately wanted last year, but just didn't have because the quarterbacks couldn't hit those short passes in rhythm and accurately. So I think the approach has been good so far, and I don't know that they've called things to kind of baby him, because you look at like the end of each of the first halves of the first two games. I mean, they were foot to the floor and really hitting the gas to try to score before halftime, and they were successful in doing that. So I think they trust him. I mean, I don't think that there's any sense that they're holding things back. I think the difference is, we've seen so often with Nebraska football where the quarterback has to go and win you games, and there's such a big piece of the offense is the running game and the passing game. And they just don't have to have him do that, which I think is a nice luxury to being able to get a guy comfortable early in his college career.
A couple more quick ones for you, Michael. Is there a guy that we're not talking about enough that probably needs more love for Nebraska?
Yeah, probably.
I could think of one, and that's Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nebraska knows what they've got with him, and I think you'll see a bigger role going forward. Here's another guy that I think I would like to see be a bigger part of the offense, and that's Jalen Lloyd. Like, you go back to, I mean, he had the long catch in the first half against Colorado. They had that perfect play drawn up for him on the deep ball also in the first half, and I think Dylan just overthrew him. But I'm kind of eager to see what he can do in year two. And it feels like some of the stuff that he would probably do is going to Ja'Cory Barney right now, and with good reason. But I think those two I'm really intrigued by, because they run really well in traffic, and they also have the ability to really kind of take the top off of defenses. So I would like to see more from both. I mean, I think Barney's kind of gotten a little bit of run this week just because, I mean, his stat line looks totally different last week if guys can just not hold, or if the referees weren't so sensitive about it in the second half. But I think I agree with you. I mean, I think he's going to be a big piece of Nebraska's offense. One other guy that kind of came to mind a little bit, on defense, MJ Sherman is playing really, really well right now. And, former, high 4-star recruit that didn't pan out at Georgia. He's really kind of taken off in year two at that jack spot. And, I think everybody kind of assumed that Prince William was going to just take that role. But I think MJ Sherman's playing at a really high level too, and probably isn't getting enough love for what he's done. So I'll go with Barney with you. I'll say MJ Sherman, and I want to see a little bit more Jalen Lloyd.
I'd like to see a little bit more Thomas Fidoni as well. That would be another person I'd like to see certainly use a little bit more. Michael Bruntz, our guest from Husker 24/7 Sports. How much of a concern is it on the special team side?
Moderate to high.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I think it's such a big group, so you kind of have to parse it a little bit. I mean, I think the punt return stuff has been much improved from what it's been in the past. The kicking is a huge concern, because I don't know how much confidence there is from the coaching staff that if they're able to get to an opponent's 25, that kick is going through. I mean, I think that's a concern. And Matt Rule comes out on Monday and says that was one of the worst special teams performances he's had as a head coach. That kind of perks you up a little bit, and you take note of that. Coverage units need to be better. Certainly the field goal kicking needs to be better. And, for Brian Buccini has been much better and much more consistent this year, but you never like to see a blocked punt like they had. So there's a lot to clean up there. And that's when you get into Big Ten play, you're playing, 1-score games. One play or one mistake on special teams can really hurt you. So that they got to get that figured out. I mean, I think that's a really high level of concern over there, that they need to get some more consistency there. And I don't know what the answer is, because at least with the kicking piece of it, you have who you have, and at some point guys just need to make field goals. I mean, that's kind of where Nebraska's at right now.
I'll let you go on this one, Michael. there are a handful of games left, including Northern Iowa this Saturday before you get to that Ohio State game. And a lot of people think, the pundits think that, hey, Nebraska could be 7-0 going to Ohio State. It's been talked like that for a while. What game out of the next 5 before Ohio State has you the most intrigued and you think would be the biggest test?
Illinois feels like it's going to be a little bit of a bigger test than what I would have said a couple weeks ago. Them beating up on Kansas, that kind of caught my attention. Rutgers is always scary because that's been the one that I was a little afraid of, because you know that Rutgers is probably going to play solid defense. It's a Greg Schiano coach team, so they're going to be good on special teams. And they can do a little bit on offense, and they've got a veteran quarterback that's done it in Memorial Stadium before too. So I think that's probably the game that I have a little bit of trepidation about the most is Nebraska at home against Rutgers. I think there's a few there, and I think that stretch of games from Illinois to that Indiana, basically, that's going to be really telling on what direction Nebraska's season goes. Because if you get through that stretch relatively unscathed, you got a chance to really do something there. But those are all probably going to be close games.
Nope, absolutely. And special teams will play a big role in those close games as well.
Certainly will.
Michael Bruns, Huskers 24/7 Sports on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Thank you, Michael, so much for the time. As always, we appreciate it. We'll catch up down the road.
Sounds good, Ross. Thanks a lot.
Great stuff again there from Michael Bruns of Huskers 24/7 Sports. We'll see. Special teams are certainly an issue for Nebraska. They've got to get that figured out, but it's been exciting first couple of weeks, and you certainly can't overlook Northern Iowa. They're a top 25 FCS team here this weekend, and we've seen lower level teams give other teams fits and even pull upsets. You definitely don't want to pull a Notre Dame here this week after all that momentum gained with that victory over Colorado. So we'll see what the Big Red can do here this weekend. It's Saturday night on the Big Ten Network if you'd like to watch Nebraska and Northern Illinois. Also, he was talking about KU football and the Illinois game, and saying the Illinois game it's going to be tougher. I think that game will be tougher, but I also don't want to give too much credit to Illinois. I rewatched that game. I love watching Big 12. I think it's the Big 10 in 60, Big 10 football in 60. So you get to watch an entire football game in an hour. It's great. They cut out all the fluff in between. It's just the plays. And I got to watch that again between Kansas and Illinois. Jalen Daniels just had a bad day at the office. Some bad throws that Illinois read perfectly. Jumped a route for that pick six before half. Yeah, that was not good. And so that they've got Kansas kind of handed Illinois that win. If they don't turn the ball over, they were moving the ball up and down the field. If they don't turn the ball over at the clip that they did, KU's probably 2-0 and Illinois is probably 1-1 is the way I see it. So, all right, we're about 10 minutes till the top there. Let's take a break. We'll come back and touch on the news out of the Pac-12/12/more. That's right. News out of the Pac-12 next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Thursday.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off a new trade-in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Hi, it's Andrew Hoiberg from Calcium Products. Rapidly correct and maintain your soil pH with 98G pelletized limestone to protect your fertilizer investment. Applying 98G at 200 pounds per acre provides a 9.4 bushel increase on corn and a 3.1 bushel increase on soybeans. Ask your agronomist about applying 98G pelletized limestone this fall and learn more at calciumproducts.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
How about sports? You follow sports?
With Ross Volkmer.
So excited to see so many viewers on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Great to see you all there. Glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz on this Thursday. One of the many ways you can catch the Morning Blitz every single morning from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central Time. And thanks again, of course, to Michael Bruns for stopping by from Huskers 24/7 Sports with some good stuff there. All right, I want to move into talking a little bit about the news that came down early this morning. There are reports out of the Northwest that the Pac-12 Board of Directors are set to announce that they're going to be bringing in 4 schools from the Mountain West. The Pac-12 Board of Directors unanimously have approved applications from Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State. That's right. The Rams are going to be a Pac-12 member, joining Oregon State and Washington State. Can we just call it the state conference? Every single Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Oregon State, Washington. It's the state conference. The state conference is going to, which to me, think about where we've come from, where we've been. The Pac-12, of course, had one of their best years, maybe in recent memory last year, especially on the football field. It is gone because of the exodus of, first and foremost, UCLA and USC, then Oregon and Washington jumping in the Big Ten boat, those 4. The 4 corner schools with Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah moving into the Big 12. And then that leaves you, of course, with what you have with Oregon State and Washington State, who don't have a home to go to. And so the talk was, well, they're going to join the Mountain West Conference. And that was the talk for a while. But the Pac-12 has apparently regrouped, and they're going to just pick from the lower conferences, including in particularly the Mountain West Conference. Now, I will be so then once again that leaves your New Mexicos, your Air Forces. I'm trying to think of some other Mountain West schools that did not get invited to the party, but those are going to be left alone, and now they're going to be left. And they're probably going to have to go to like Conference USA or something like that. It's probably what's going to have to happen. You just wait and see. But your quote unquote big dogs in the Mountain West have decided we're leaving for the Pac-12. And that's going to give them 6 teams. The thing is, in order to get an automatic qualifying bid in the rules, you have to at least, I think, have 8 teams, I think is what it is. So they're going to need 2 more. I don't know where they're going to go get those at. I mean, Tree, where do they want to go get those teams at? Because I read, I think you have to have 8 teams in order to qualify, which doesn't mean you're going to, but to possibly qualify for an automatic bid in the college football playoff. So by bringing in these 4 with your 2, that's 6, you still need 2 more. Where are you going to get the other 2? I don't know. I don't know where they're going for with that. But Colorado State is one of those schools that's going to the Pac-12. And does it really feel like a Power 5 or a power conference? No. It doesn't. You can add those teams all you want. It doesn't really feel that big. And that's no offense to the teams that they added. That's no offense to Fresno State or Colorado State or San Diego State. No offense to those at all. Or Boise State, for sure. We just saw Boise State push Oregon. There's no shame in that. But I don't know. It just seems a little. They're trying to. I give them credit. They're fighting. They're trying to hold on. They're trying to make a comeback. The comeback pack. Maybe that's the nickname for them. They're trying to make a comeback, but I just don't know if that's going to really matter when it all comes right down to it. I just don't know. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to think of who else they could go after that would be of intrigue for them. I don't know. You're not like Nevada. You're not going to go after Nevada, I don't think. And even though that would be in your footprint, and I don't know. I'm also intrigued to see what the Mountain West does. Does the Mountain West say, well, we're not going to give up. We're going to invite. Now, once again, I don't know if they can do this or not. I don't know all the rules and stuff, but can they bring in some of the best teams in FCS? Could they bring in Montana State, North Dakota State, or South Dakota State, North Dakota State, South Dakota, North Dakota? Could they bring those teams in? Could the Mountain West do that? I mean, to have Montana in the Mountain West would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty sweet. But I don't know if they want to go from FCS up to FBS. I don't know if that's what they want to do. Idaho could be one of those teams as well, because they're really in a good spot, although the Kibbe Dome is not D1 football approved, it feels like, but especially FBS, but whatever. So I know I'm very intrigued. Where just once again, pieces are just going to continue to move for as long as we know. Now, this is apparently going to start in 2026. Is when this will start. The fall of 2026 is when that football season will have those members, Colorado State in particular, going to the Pac-12, the Pac-6, or the state Pac, whatever you want to call it. That's where they'll be going. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But I am intrigued. I am intrigued a little bit by this. And I am surprised a little bit that the Pac-12 has found a way to keep themselves afloat here for the time being, but they still got to find some more schools. But they'll set to join them for the 26-27 football season.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Royals lose in a heartbreak last night. Jazz Chisholm hits a game-ending infield single to hand the Royals a 4-3 loss. They dropped 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. Royals are off today before they go to Pittsburgh for a weekend series. The Rockies, they fell to the Tigers 7-4. They lose that, so they're going to try to avoid a sweep this afternoon as that series wraps up. I think it's 11:10 Mountain, just afternoon Central Time. They're from the Motor City. Some other interesting news from Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars home opener against the Browns is going to be won't be played at Everbank Stadium, but the stadium is not moving. The teams will instead meet at Trevor Bank Stadium, renaming the Jaguar named after the Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, as part of his collaboration with the stadium's naming rights sponsor Everbank. So it's now Trevor Bank Stadium. Oh my gosh. The quote from Trevor Lawrence: "I don't like having too much of the spotlight with stuff like that, but I think it was clever. They have the naming rights for the stadium, so it was a good play on words, so I'm fine with it." Is it only for this game? I think it's only for this game, but Trevor Bank Stadium. Kind of weird. Talk about a good sponsorship deal, though, for your sponsor, though. Anything to sell tickets in to get people in the stadium, apparently, or to get them to watch. I'm going to go watch the game at Trevor Bank Stadium. All right, that'll do it. Good luck to all the area athletes today, including Colby and Goodland Golf, all those other good ones. So we will see you back here again tomorrow on the Morning Blitz. Have yourself a good one, everybody.
KKCI, Goodland, Colby, Burley.